Okay, so to continue, we want to start forming the shape of the shell of the turtle. Okay, so I'm going to go to this view. Sometimes it's helpful to have all the views open at the same time. And I want you guys to stay away from working in the perspective view. Manipulating things in the perspective view. The perspective view for a beginner is best used as a selecting view. So you can add to your selections in here, and that's the easiest way to select things. But if you start moving around your geometry in here, my experience says that with beginners that it doesn't go very well. It ends up being slower. So I'm going to move stuff in my orthographic view, and I'm just going to move this up to the top of the shell. Okay. And then I'm going to grab a set of edges, and I can grab a set of edges. An edge loop is what it's called, by going into edge mode, and I can double click an edge, and it will select all the edges that belong in that loop. So meaning it will loop around your model, your geometry. And I'm going to slide this up. Actually, no, I think I just decided I'm going to slide it down to this part of the shell. So where the legs start to come out. Okay. Now I'm going to switch to my scale tool, and just so you can see what's happening, if I hold down Control and click on the Y handle here, it will scale in X and Z. And I'm going to scale that out until it's as wide as the shell. Okay. Now again, in my perspective view, a lot of times the fastest way to select something is to select too much and then deselect what you didn't really want. So in this scenario, I'm going to switch to face mode. I'm going to drag select a box. So I got too many faces, right? But if I hold down Control, I can deselect some of those. And I only had to click twice, and I was able to isolate my selection to 4 faces. So that was kind of nice. And so I eliminated 2 clicks. Okay, and I'm going to put this at the bottom of my character shell. And I'm going to scale it up. Again, holding down Control. And I can scale it till it's as wide as the bottom portion of that shell. Might go a little bit further, then I can always dial it back in when I need to. Okay. Now again, using my perspective view to select, I'm going to go to edge mode. And if I hold down Shift, I can add to the selection instead of replacing it. And I'm going to move these edges. Now, you always want to grab as much geometry as you can handle to manipulate at once. And by doing so, you'll be faster. So I'm going to maximize this view. I just tap my space bar. I'm going to move these edges down. And again, I'm going to hold down Control so I can scale out in X and Z, the red and the blue handle axes. And I'm going to make it match the size of my shell. Okay. Now, go back here, kind of see what's going on. Now I need to do the same thing, but in my side view. I need to rearrange all this geometry in the side view now. because I can see that it's not centered, right? So first thing I'm going to do is switch back into object mode, and I'm going to center the geometry. I pressed F8 to switch back into object mode, and that allows me to select the whole thing rather than just pieces of it. And I'll press W on my keyboard, and that will go to my translate tool, and then I'm going to slide this into place. Okay, now you'll notice that my manipulator keeps shrinking and growing. That's me. If you push the minus sign on your keyboard, that will shrink your manipulator. If you push the plus sign on your keyboard, it will increase its size. That can be handy depending on what your current view is. Okay, I'm going to press F8 on my keyboard again. You should get familiar with that key. You'll be using it a lot. And I'm going to continue to model this mesh. So I'm going to resize it. So all my views open. I need to select this front portion. So I'm going to go to face mode. I'm going to select these two faces in the front of the turtle. And I'm going to move them out. Now something that I'm doing is I've moved them out so that the pivot is lined up on the line of the edge of the shell. And I can use my rotate tool to make it so that it matches up a little better. So again, think about how you can use your translate, rotate, and scale tools. It's very tempting for beginners to try to use the translate tool all of the time. And that is the slow method. Okay. Now I'm going to switch into edge mode. Or actually I'm going to switch into vertex mode. And I can drag select over these vertices here. And I'm going to slide them into place at the bottom edge of this shell. Okay. Now I'm going to grab two vertices at once. It just so happens it's the top two vertices that I haven't really touched yet in the center of from the front view, but not the very most center vertice. And I'm going to manipulate those in this side view. So I'm going to move them down. I'm going to scale them in Z only. Kind of get the shape of my shell. Okay. And now you can see from the top though it's still pretty well square. So I need to fix that. Now I didn't do a top view of my turtle in my drawing, so I'm just going to have to guess. So I'm going to grab all the vertices that are in the corners. And I'm going to use my scale tool. Again, holding down Control and clicking on the Y handle, it will scale it in Z and X. And I can make this shell more rounded all at one time. Okay? Now I need more definition on this shell because it doesn't have the shell shape that I want yet. Also, I need to move the center down. I'm going to deselect everything by clicking empty space. I'm going to select the center vertex, and I'm going to move it down so that it's kind of rounded on the bottom. Now I'm using very, very little detail right now. That's important.